Now, do me a favor, okay? Just for us, like as us watching, go through the top 10 right now. I want you to just go from 1 to 10, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right? So do me a favor. When you look at these 10 teams, okay, with the most money that you have for NIL, is that team a playoff team? Right there.
Nope.
Okay, bring it down. Go to number 9. Is that a playoff team? Okay. Go down. Is that a playoff team? No. Is that a playoff team?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Actually, no, I don't think they have a shot now. I think they're done.
Now, no, because they don't have their player. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying. So, I mean, again, we just named 4 of these top 10 teams. I mean,
they're
not. They are. They are.
They're not.
They're not. They are. They're not. And they are. So, what is that? 3 teams out of the top 10? 3 or 4 out of the top 10, are playoff teams. Out of 12 teams. So, the top 10 teams, 8 of them I cannot even approach the top 12. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that it makes a big deal, but it's painfully obvious that these schools just want to know they can pay players. But it's like, again, like you said, you can give them all the money in the world. But that right there is dangerous because, again, one of 2 things happens when you get money. Either you are extremely grateful and you work for it, actually work for it, or when you're given it and it's guaranteed, it's like you said, I could go and do whatever I want. Like, that is a problem when you're basically giving people the option to have a life. Like, you just let them do whatever they please. So, I mean, it doesn't create discipline. It doesn't create any kind of loyalty. It doesn't create any type of, like, involvement, like bringing your stuff in and, like, trying to make it all work cohesively as a unit. Like, again, if I know that this guy's making 5 or 10 million more throughout this college career than I am, it's like, well, I think I'm just worth just as much as that guy is. It's just, they certainly have every opportunity to, go all the way with it. But in the end, it's just, you need to remember what exactly is the reason behind sports in general, where it's, you do this, you have the skill, you put it on the field, you have, all these guys together, and now you got to work together as a team. Then you got to listen to one guy or a group of guys that have these, play sheets and these calls that they put on the field. Then you got to execute. Then you got to really find a way to make it work every time. Like, again, I'm explaining what sports are when it comes to team sports. And when it comes to the NIL landscape, you're creating this environment where it's like, what, you have an option of being your self-made great, money maker because, again, you knew how to get the deal. But again, if it's not with everyone trying to go somewhere with it, like, we as fans, when we watch these games, we don't watch you for your money. We watch you because you actually know how to play your position, and we like when you do those things. Let's put it this way. Tyler Warren is again, we constantly bring him up on the podcast, dude, because he is probably the greatest example of, when you watch someone do something great at what they do, it really opens everyone's eyes up. I mean, it's really just kind of somehow this was never really into view, and then the curtain opened up and there was this supermodel that's everyone's kind of hey, look at that. That's what Tyler Warren did for himself this year. He really just opened everything up for himself. I don't know how much the guy makes. Again, I don't care how much the guy makes, but he is really showing his skills on the field, and I very much appreciate him knowing how to do that. I very much know that people keep wanting things to be more, again, with these players that make money, it's great. It's nice to know that is something you know how to do, and you should get it if you know how to play. But again, it doesn't matter if these guys don't know how to be something great. So, oh boy, I think we lost Mark. But yeah, I very much appreciate what Penn State is doing. That these guys want to do these things for us. That's why they come to Penn State. They try their darndest to, figure it out, make a great example for themselves. Like, we all want something great for the organization. Like, I very much, there he is. Your computer break down on your bud.
Yeah, it randomly resets, but the one nice thing about StreamYard is it doesn't kick you off. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the end, what you're talking about, dude, I very much would love Penn State to know that they have a 12-team playoff system. And yeah, we have the 6th seeds still, like that, or the 5th. We're the 5th or 6th. We have a home game, but then you look at the gauntlet that it is. I noticed this. I pointed this out to my folks. We play Georgia. We then play, if we win, we play Miami. Like, that's how it's structured right now. Do you realize those are the 2 teams that we won national championships against?
Yeah.
I found that very ironic. That was like, wow, in order for us to get to national championship, we have to play the teams that we actually beat for national championships many, many years ago. I just thought that was such a cool coincidence. But, you look at a team like Ohio State and you see where they're sitting. The 5th seed is the moneymaker spot in the playoffs. I'm not trying to go off script here, but it's just like, you look at the 5th seed, they have to play the worst team, which is what? BYU, and then they'll go and play Boise State. Gee, that is such a tough schedule if you're really Ohio State. I mean, I'm saying, you think that BYU or Boise State would really scare you? Like, I'm just saying, if you're trying to get to the playoffs, I mean, that seems like a pretty darn good schedule to go through. But yeah, and you're talking about the way that everything is structured with this NIL stuff. I try my darndest to figure it out myself, but in the end, dude, you constantly bring up coaching, you constantly bring up play calling. It doesn't matter. Money matters, but it's it should only matter when you're winning, when you're successful. The fact that these schools just know how to give the money, and it's we can't really put any kind of cap on it. I'm very surprised that the NIL didn't try to do some sort of thing where everyone kind of has to limit, the maximum you can give a player is a 8-10 year million for their whole career. The maximum should only be $3 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's gonna it'll get there at some point.
I think so. Yeah. So does it really affect everything we're going to be going through for the foreseeable future? I mean, absolutely. Again, Michigan probably wasn't going to be the biggest threat in the Big Ten, but with a number 1 recruit now, 5-star, I mean, now sky's the limit. You don't know what's going to happen. Because again, when you get a player like that, all of a sudden it's well, now we can open up the possibility of bringing in a coach. And then that coach could very well be what unlocks the entire thing that makes it bad. Everyone has a piece. The players are the chess pieces on the board, and the coaches are the player that are moving the pieces around. That's how really you have to look at sports when it comes to when you're thinking of how you're going to outduel and you're facing your opponent. The coach is making his pieces move to make your team look bad, and how he's going to win. It all affects it. So again, I totally understand where you're coming from on this, dude, and I really hope that Penn State is a team that learns that. Yeah, it's really going to be a tough sell once people know that you can get $10.5, $12 million or whatever the deal would be. I mean, it's important for them to be aware that alumni is where it's really going to have to come from, because like you said, they're the ones who really flip the bill. I mean, we can put as much money as we want to, but it won't put a dent what they can. So when you're talking about coaching and them not wanting him, because again, he has not produced, he has not given us a national championship. He has not even got us into the actual game itself. The 4-team playoff we had, the closest we ever got was 2016, and they still put Ohio State above us, even though we beat them. It's just unreal how they're never going to. I mean, how can you compete, dude? I mean, you're talking Ohio State, Michigan. It's again, I always feel like the little brother that's just I want to be better, but they apparently just don't know how to be in Big Brother's league.
Yeah. I mean, look at this, Jared. Okay. We got Michigan, who looking at this right now, they got lucky in the sense that they got him, even though they're not like a consistent powerhouse. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Now, didn't
they
that
haven't
dude go
won
from
like,
Colorado? Didn't he go from Ohio State to Colorado, the number 2 guy?
No, that was another guy. He went
Okay.
from Ohio State's not losing anybody. He went from USC to Colorado.
Okay.
I forget his name, but okay, so we got Michigan. All right, so don't count that one.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Oregon, Georgia, Michigan again, Ohio State, Alabama, Iowa for some reason. I have no idea. Alabama,
from
Texas,
Iowa?
Oklahoma,
No.
Georgia, LSU, Alabama. I mean, you can't compete with that, man. I mean,
Where the heck is who is our first person on it?
well, yeah.
Oh my
I'll keep
goodness,
going.
this is jeez. Oh, there he is.
Jaden Woods, 4-star
Wow.
guy. 75. Okay. Ohio
Yep.
State, in the top 75, Ohio State has, I'm not even going to count Alabama. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in the top 75. We have 1
What?
at 75. Alabama has 1, 2, and eventually they'll die off a little bit too, if they keep losing. But because no dynasty can live on forever. But yeah, Penn State has every opportunity in the world to be the dynasty, and it won't happen, man, until we beat Ohio State at least once. You won't see the effects of, like, say we beat Ohio State this year. You won't see the effects of that for like 1, 2, 3 years. But if you consistently beat these teams that you're not supposed to beat or that are hard, you're going to see the effects of that with recruiting. The whole point, pretty much, of the playoff is, especially with this 12 team now, make it more competitive and to get your name on the map. So if we were like literally just one time in the top 4 in the playoff, just once, we would have better recruiting. But we could never get there because we always lost to the 2 teams that we should have beaten, and we never did, Michigan and Ohio State. And again, Franklin always has an excuse. But this is what it is, man. I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, we're never, ever going to compete with that. Never. You can't.
Yeah.
And then I think the quarterback that you're talking about,
Yeah, I was like flipping through, last week, and I saw Pat McAfee had this kid on, and he on the show,
Julian
he committed
Lewis.
to Colorado. Yeah.
Went from USC to Colorado.
Yep.
Now, that's a coach right there. Is he the best coach? No, but he is a good coach. Is he like an elite coach? No, but he's a good coach, and he does a lot of good things to have stuff like that happen. And yeah, so I mean, these are quarterbacks, all right? Bryce Underwood, Tavian St. Clair, Keelan Russell. And this freaking Bryce Underwood, he's 6'3.5", 205. Tavian St. Clair's 6'4", 225. Keelan Russell's 6'3". I mean, these guys are freaking massive.
Yeah.
Matt Zollers, Penn State could have gotten him. He didn't come. A PA guy.
Yeah.
A PA guy didn't come to Penn State. That's money, too. But, I mean, you can't even get your own guys in state.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, it goes on and on, man. It goes on and on and on. And I don't know, Penn State's quarterback, Beckham Kritza, he's 54.
3 stars.
You think Beckham Kritza-led Penn State team is going to beat a freaking Tavian St. Clair or a Keelan Russell or even a Julian Lewis team?
I mean,
hell no. There's no way.
Go back to his name. Go back to his name again. Say his name again.
Beckham Kritza?
Yeah. Beckham Kritza.
Yeah, Beckham Kritza. 6'5", 198. He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a tall dude. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But I'm saying Beckham Kritza. I mean, I'm saying, like, I'm not saying it's like hurricane names. Like, like when you hear the hurricane is coming, it's like category 5, and they give it like Terrence or like Bernie
Yeah.
or like, it's just like, what? Like that doesn't strike fear in the hearts of me. Here comes Beckham Kritza. Like, I don't know. It just sounds like some kind of, I don't know, it's some sort of cracker or something. Like, it just sounds like a cracker code.
Some
Beckham
sort of
Kritza.
snack.
Like, I mean, but those, like, that sounds like names. Like Tavian St. Clair, Keelan Russell. I mean, Malik Washington. I mean, those sounds like quarterback names. I mean, again, I'm not saying just based on your name that you can't be a quarterback. I'm just saying you hear it, it's just like, it has to have, it kind of has to pop, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, dude. I mean, in the end, you're just talking about getting Penn State into the conversation of being one of the best in the biz. Like, and again, it is a biz now because you're getting paid a lot. I mean, are you satisfied? Again, like as the Penn State fan, are you satisfied with 10-2s, 11-1s, and going to a bowl game and just, you know, putting on okay performance? Because again, all these guys that are declaring for the draft, the seniors that don't play, it's like we're just being robbed of like a potentially great game because again, these guys cannot hurt their brand that they're going to in the NFL. So it's like we're just getting pretty much the backups that we would have, whatever we have left. I mean, I've seen it many times before, and it's just like what we're talking about is Penn State looking as good as Oregon, looking as competent as Ohio State, like being one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Again, James Franklin can throw his numbers out all he wants, where it's like he has the best record for every other team that is not named Ohio State, Michigan, and that's never going to not be a part of it. Like, it's such a blemish. It's such a red mark on the resume, and is it something that you just can live with? Because, again, we've had it for now 10, 12 years. He's been here for quite some time now. And I don't know. I just feel like you talk about guys that, again, when you talk about former coaches, it's always Joe, Bill, and now James. And it's just like when I hear people talk about players that once played for a coach, you know, they're like, oh, dude, we could go on forever with the stories. We can, you know, we regale all this stuff. They just love to just go down the line of why they would throw themselves down for the guy. Like they would be on their team like forever if they could. And it's like when I see guys with James Franklin, he's been around long enough where it's like, do you hear the stories? Like, do you hear like guys talking about like those experiences? And I'm not hearing as much. Like, I don't hear former players coming back and just going on a gush fest, like, you know, what it was like to, you know, just have a great season, but not really anything to show for it.
Well, I mean, look at this 22 class, right?
Yep.
They had the number one quarterback in the class because Quinn Ewers reclassified. Number one quarterback in the class, all right?
Yep.
The number one running back in the class, okay?
Yep.
That never happens. You don't get the
it's
first
true.
number one running back and the number one quarterback in a class. You had 3 guys in the top 30 deny. Absolute freak. This is the 22 class that we were talking about. And I've heard through the grapevine that Drew Allar's probably coming back. This 22 class was the class that was going to beat us, Ohio State, and take us to the next step. Now, did they do that? No, they didn't. And this guy, Nick Singleton, he has not gotten better. He's regressed since his freshman year. He's not gotten better. And then we had another guy at running back called Big Fat, Katron Allen.
Yep, Katron.
I think they said he was like 12 pounds when he was born. That's why they call him Big Fat.
Holy cow!
But, dude, when I was born, I was almost 11 pounds. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the world record is 14.
I was 3 weeks early and I was almost 9 pounds. So I mean, if I was on time, Mom probably would have given birth to a boulder. I'm sure. So I get it.
Here, Katron.
Yep.
He was the 15th running back. So that's the 22 class right there. I mean,
yeah.
This was truly the year to make that jump, and they did
Yep.
not. So I think they should all come back. I think Abdul Carter should come back. He's not going to, but Denai should come back. Katron should come back. Nick should come back. Drew should come back. Caden Saunders should come back. I mean, every person should come back.
Yeah.
There's no reason that they should leave. None. Come back next year. And again, take it with a grain of salt because Franklin's the coach. But you have an opportunity as seniors to truly make your mark at Penn State and maybe win a national title, compete for one at least, get close. You have that opportunity. So
be the best versions of yourselves, please. I mean, we've been waiting a long, long time. I was not alive when they last won a national championship. You were not even a thought when they last won a national championship. There's a lot of people who are saying this. I mean, you see this stuff in our beards, folks. It's not fake. I mean, come on. We ain't getting any younger. I mean, give us something, please. I'm just saying, we know what we've been waiting for. We know what we can be. And like you said, you pointed out, it was one of the best recruiting classes of Franklin's career. And yeah, he did do all that. So it's like, please just go out there and be that.
yeah, I mean, I think these guys come back, most of them. I don't know. I don't think they should leave. I don't think we're going to get many transfers, especially guys that see the field.
Mm.
But like an Abdul Carter, even him, man, like he hasn't had a completely stellar out of this world year.
Nope.
Tyler Warren has pretty much, but you know, at the end of the day, what does it mean ultimately? Tyler Warren has this great year. Abdul Carter is like this potential top 5 pick. I don't know about now. Excuse me, but I mean, dude, there's no way that and Franklin has brought in like so many great additions, like these highly recruited players. Guys like Tyler Warren, the lifting program is probably the best in the country. I mean, he's brought in Manny Diaz and Tom Allen and Andy Kotelnicki and Joe Moorhead. I mean, so many guys that he's brought in. But it comes down to the head coach. It comes down to execution on the field, and that's a head coach thing. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't mean jack. It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. When you have all this great stuff around you and you don't execute on game day, it means nothing. It means nothing. It's like, you know, your house is just full of dirt and it's dirty and messy and it's not clean and it's unhealthy to live in, but it has like nice Christmas lights on the outside. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter how good it looks on the outside. If it isn't good on the inside, if what it really isn't good, then it isn't good. And that's it. So, yeah, it just...
Dude, there's a lot of levels to the whole process. Like, I'm not going to try to get, completely ridiculous about what you're trying to compare things with, but it's like, when you're trying to find the one and you see someone there and it's like you make eye contact and something starts to develop and then, you say to your buddies, like, I got the number, like, all right, we're going on the dates. Like we're going somewhere with this, like it's going all like, and then, that night happens and, nothing happens where it's like, I'm just saying like what it basically is like, you can talk about all you want, but it's like the deed and, the ultimate goal is to get to the championship. So it's like, do not brag that you got to this point and it didn't go all the way. Like just that's where it's at with this particular thing. Like, again, I think it's great that they have all these recruits. I think it's great that Franklin did finally figure out a whole level of formulas that came all together in one class. Great. But it's like, in the end, until I know the deed was done, I don't want to hear anybody talk about how great you did what you should have done. But yeah, it's definitely one of those topics that's like, just please go all the way with it, please.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, again, like to finish up, man, like he said, half the teams in the country would kill to be where we're at. It's like, okay, so you just proved our point. You proved my point. You accept mediocrity. I mean, that's just right after he said, no one looks in the mirror harder than me. And then he says, half the teams in the country would kill to be like us. It's like, is there a single fan on earth that isn't delusional that agrees with that statement? Penn State fan. Like, there's not a
Right.
fan out there that's not delusional. That's like, oh yeah, 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 you're right, Franklin. Yeah, yeah, we should be totally grateful for that. Um, and I don't think this would ever happen at Penn State, but I would rather be like Florida. You win 2 or 3 national titles and then you suck for 10 years. I mean, that's at
But
least
dude,
you
like in
know
my
you have
line
an
of
opportunity.
Right, but in my line of work, like where I see fans and people come into the city and like they talk about the game beforehand, like anyone who is an alumni that comes in, it's all about the weekend tailgate. It's all about just in the atmosphere. Like they'd like to know that the game is there, but they do this just as much as the watching of the game. But the diehard fans, the ones that actually watch the game, study it, like I'll talk to some diehard fans that's like they know all of it, like. And you know what, dude? For the majority, I'm hearing a lot of acceptance. Like, and it's kind of discouraging where it's like a lot of fans just come in and go like, yeah, we're in for the weekend. I mean, we just come in just hoping that it happens. And we know what will happen. Like, we just hope that we're wrong. Like, and we like it's a lot of the things I hear collectively where everyone's just like, we hope that things go our way. We hope that no one makes mistakes. And then when we try to say everything under the sun, like we'll say no one should get a penalty, but then the refs like make a bad call. It's like, we don't want this, but then the elements like ruin us. Like the weather like forces us to throw it or not. But like, it just seems like every time we try to find the way to say how we want things to go down, something will derail. Like it just seems like we're always going to be the second or third best team in the Big Ten because again, we're not named Ohio State or Michigan. I mean, what you have Elsa now again, you have Oregon in the group now. You have a team like should be USC, but they weren't that great this year. I mean, they've really had a step back. So, I mean, there's a lot of other outside noise now where it's like, now it's Oregon. Now it could be UCLA soon. Who knows? Like, you can't predict anything going forward. You just know that you expect Penn State to always be a winning team. Like, again, the last losing season we had was the COVID year, and that was because, again, it was COVID. So, everything else has either been, we've been a playoff team, we've been to a bowl game, and we don't show up. If we do show up, it's, because the one player was really special. That one was a Rose Bowl against Utah. And again, it was Utah. I understand that. But Utah was built as a really great team that year. And I thought I saw enough really, this is a challenge. And Sean Clifford and company went out and just played their heads off. And I mean, I very much appreciate the fact that I can look back on that game and be like, yeah, Sean Clifford, all in all, you had a good college career. It wasn't the greatest, but you ended on a high note. Like you always want that for certain guys like that. They show their loyalty. They show all the years that they were there and they went out on top. I mean, did we end Saquon's career with a win? I don't think we did. I know we had the one with Washington. Did he leave after that one? Or was there one
Fiesta
after
Bowl.
that?
He had the Fiesta Bowl win.
Okay. Yeah. So it was, we can look back on some great teams that had a lot of good bowl games. But again, then you remember the Kentucky year. You remember the Ole Miss year. I mean, it's in the Florida year. I mean, they have had a lot of clunkers, as opposed to great matchups and showing everything for it. I know that we have one more year of this, and it's just like, this has to be the year. If not, I mean, next year. You're saying all these guys are coming back, and it's like, this is a lot of talent, and guys can pretty much put their name down in history for everything. So I don't see why you're right. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to come back next year and just give us the best version of this class. Like, it's so crucial that you finally give the fans, at least, something that they've won. I mean, if James Franklin can't deliver, then there's no reason why we can't have something else. And would it be better? No, probably not. But it would definitely be something else. Like it's just like this. I'm just saying, I mean, it's like this recipe that you have to eat every day at the cafeteria at school. And finally they get a new lunch lady. It's like, is it better? Not really, but at the same time, it's not what it once tasted like. I mean, it was like I just need some new taste. They need something new, I think. And again, like you said, if they don't deliver, and again, I don't know. I mean, even if they do deliver, I don't know if I really want to know that like we may potentially have more years of like head scratching or inconsistent play calling, and we never rise to the occasion. Like just because you have one successful year doesn't mean that you're guaranteed 2 more in the next 5. Like you just want something good for this class. Like you're right. 2022, please just come back and give us the best year next year. We still have this year, but how far it will go, we know we don't feel like it's going to do anything.
Yeah. I think if it were to end with Franklin, I think we would get a good replacements. We have a new AD. I think we would find someone good. I think they should go for like a home run hire, former NFL guy, whatever it may be, man. I think they would get someone good. But if they come in and they don't succeed, they're not going to be there long. But I do think that we can do better. I do think that because it's Penn State. I mean, Bill Belichick, he's going to coach again. Would he ever coach college? Probably not. But, I say that name because I think even a guy like that, Penn State could get. I mean, it's Penn State, it's the Mecca.
Yep.
For all of you out there, it's the Mecca of college football. To everyone on TikTok,